Hello guys, I have to be honest with you when I've learned a couple of days ago that an American journalist, even if he is Tucker Carlson, is traveling to Moscow to interview dictator Putin, who continuously kills, destroys and commits genocide and war crimes in Ukraine. I was very disappointed and very angry. Because for me, it's obvious Putin is not a person to get an interview unless it's an interview in the court of The Hague. And an American journalist. America is a country that I associate with the motherland of democracy, so I felt really bad. But today in the morning, having watched the video with some wine, because it's impossible to do that without, I was satisfied. I was satisfied because this is such a BS, and it seems to me that even for Tucker Carlson, it was really difficult to listen to this totally inappropriate 2.5-hour conversation of a dying, lonely dictator who even brought the maps of 16th century with him. Let me tell you more of this myth that Putin tried to spread and how absurd they are, but I'm sure that's obvious after a statement that it was Poland that provoked the Second World War, not the Hitler. My name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda everywhere in the world and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. So once again, I have to start with that. It's not okay to interview Putin and to manipulate public opinion as Tucker Carlson did at the beginning, when from Moscow he recorded a video that later Elon Musk allowed to circulate on X, stating that no one wants to interview dictator Putin and we have to know the truth of the other side. That's the true journalism. And I even had to visit the page on YouTube to read the comments, and I was really frustrated because so many people were saying, yes, this is real journalism, do travel, do interview, take care and so on, forgetting one important fact. And most important, media reacted immediately, saying that they always wanted to interview Putin. They always offered an opportunity to interview him, but in a natural way, when they put the questions they want and not something that was 100% verified with Putin and the questions that he definitely accepted, giving him an opportunity to lecture. But actually it turned out to be good, because it seems to me that the things Putin said once again proved that he is not an evil genius. He is just a stupid, dying dictator of a monstrous ghost, the USSR. Remember to subscribe, demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine, and learn more about Russian crimes, Russian myths, and how to debunk them if there are still people who doubt. I'm sorry. It's impossible to watch Putin's interview without some anesthesia. So first of all, it was very much about history, once again proving fake history, once again proving that Putin lives in the past and all the Russian societies still live in the past. So pains and troubles of Russian Empire and Soviet Union ache in their empty chests. So anyway, from my personal opinion, the interview is so bad that it actually helps Ukraine. And one of the comments that I loved on Twitter was that this interview does the contrary of what was expected from it, meaning that more and more people will want to support Ukraine in its fight against evil Putin's regime and crazy Russian ideas. So Putin is a really weird medieval dictator came to the interview with maps, showing maps of 17th, 16th century, of course falsified, and his claim number one was there is no Ukraine. Ukraine was first invented by Lenin, then invented by Stalin. Decide who invented Ukraine when you're lying, because you cannot even choose one candidate. In reality, Ukraine is much longer than Russia. Kyiv is the mother of Rus cities, and Even if we look back at modern history, at the beginning of the 20th century, we had a long period of Ukrainian independence together with Poland, Lithuania, and even Russia that was independent republic after the collapse of empire, and only later, after the Bolshevik Revolution, started occupying states around. So definitely the history of Ukraine is longer than the history of Moscovia, but even if we look at Ukraine as a modern state, for example, that starts in 1991, its independence was supported by all the world, including Russia. So what's the problem? And it seems to me that talking to American audience, it's not quite okay to discuss 1,000 years of history and who was the prince of what, because even the US has shorter history, but still it is one of the strongest countries. So anyway, there are lots of memes showing this Tucker Carlson totally lost, and there was notices for example, when you learn everything about the movement of borders in Eastern Europe from 1643 to 1660. That's exactly what Putin is about, but he is pseudoscientific, he is crazy. And for me, the peak of his craziness is the moment when he says it was Poland who provoked the Second World War because it did not want to negotiate and give Gdansk back to Germany. That's exactly the essence of Putin right now. This is exactly how he attacks Ukraine, because Ukraine wants to be Ukraine. Also, one of the myths that he wanted spreading is nationalism in Ukraine, when what we see is the contrary, and the only Nazis in Ukraine are actually Russian soldiers. We see how Putin speaks well about Hitler and his invasion of Poland. We see his denial of other cultures and their identities. And also we have a Jewish president whose relatives suffered from Holocaust. It's total BS, and it's one of the narratives that I'm sure does not have any support at all. Of course, he also claimed that we do not want negotiations. He tried that in 2022. Let me remind you what kind of negotiations that might have been. Kyiv was surrounded and they wanted to speak the loss of Ukrainian independence somewhere in Turkey or in Belarus. Not the most democratic platforms too. But after Ukrainian armed forces managed to protect Kyiv and throw away these orcs from many parts of Ukraine, it was obvious we are not going to negotiate on Putin's conditions. And here he continues saying that, of course, Putin starts that he needed this war just because West was attacking. Guys, in case you did not know, you were attacking Russia. And it was just his reaction. And that now all has to happen is the US to negotiate with Russia. Well, first of all, there is Ukraine. Ukraine is the largest country in Europe and now the bravest. So And second, you cannot negotiate with Russia. We all know that really well. For example, invading Ukraine, Putin broke approximately 400 international agreements that were operating well before his brutal invasion. So we all know for centuries that the agreement with Russia is not worth the price of the paper on which it was signed. So obviously, if anyone starts negotiating with Russia, what it does only gives green light to Putin to continue his invasions further. But honestly, this is such a low quality BS. So many people commented below it that finally they've seen Putin is not an evil genius. Putin is a primitive, stupid person with very narrow knowledge, first of history, second, of the audience with whom he is speaking. Because personally, I greatly doubt that someone was persuaded by this 2.5-hour conversation. Let me know, what do you think about this conversation? Will it have any positive, for Putin, effect on the US or global public? Because for me, honestly, it was a relief to see such BS spoken for 2.5 hours with even tired Tucker Carlson, who perhaps expected something different, something more adapted to general public. And just like only one quote: Poland provoked Hitler and now Ukraine provoked Russia. Yeah, exactly. And now we see that Moscow is on fire. So this interview and Tucker Carlson set Moscow on fire, and they have a very huge fire caused by some malfunction or human factor, and it is one of the greatest civil fires since recent history. Karma is working. And also some fires in Perm region on the railway. It seems to me we have nothing to do with that, but just a beautiful reminder that Russia is hell, and it starts looking like hell with its central evil being interviewed on the American channel. It's not okay, guys. Honestly, it's not okay, and it feels very offensive and very painful for a Ukrainian that such dictators, such world criminals are given a platform to address you. It's not okay. It shouldn't be like that. It's a huge, huge and very dangerous manipulation, and not just for us, but for all democracies worldwide. It has to be prosecuted. It has to be stopped. Remember that tomorrow we have our live at 9 p.m. Kyiv, and we will discuss eternal Putin's lie and changes in Ukrainian armed forces, and a little bit about our new commander-in-chief. Cheers. It was really difficult to watch this interview, honestly, so difficult, even not for a Ukrainian, and you can multiply it by 10 for a Ukrainian. So thank you for buying me coffees. Perhaps I will spend them today on some wine. Thank you for being my patrons. Remember to check our new St. Valentine's collection in our merch shop. Subscribe to my Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. Join my Discord community, and see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Kyiv. Slava Ukraini!